Hey, friends. Okay, I am still buzzing over here from my interview with Michelle Bacall. I've been a long-time fan of hers ever since I found her on Instagram. And that was shortly before my surgery. She'd already had bariatric surgery at that point and was just getting ready for plastics. But over the last 8 years, I have watched her craft an amazing transformation from nearly 400 pounds to a seriously ripped bodybuilder. And she's a bodybuilding influencer now. But in the course of our conversation, I found out that that isn't even a smidgen of her story. Get ready, because this one is going to be a ride. Hello, Michelle.
Hi.
So excited to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking time to join me. I really do appreciate it.
Of course.
So, I always start in the same place with everybody about where your journey began. Tell me about life before bariatric surgery.
So I want to say a pivotal moment for me before even the weight loss happened was in 2014 when I got sober. And I struggled with heroin addiction growing up in my adolescence. And so 2014 is my sobriety year when I got clean off of drugs and alcohol. And I don't think I would have been able to make it towards the weight loss part of my story if I didn't first tackle addiction and sobriety. And so once that happened, and it was a roller coaster the first year, but it kind of clicked in my head, if I can get sober and I can tackle addiction and recovery, I can lose this weight, because that was at my heaviest point, during sobriety, kind of replacing drugs and alcohol with food. And that was when I got to my heaviest, which was 395 pounds. So if I could reclaim myself in a way from having to constantly be high and drunk to cope with life, I knew that I could also lose the weight since I was able to tackle that.
Wow. That is amazing. I did not know that piece. That is so courageous, so brave. Wow.
I
Kudos.
post so much, it's like it kind of gets
Yeah.
it gets fallen out of order, and I kind of just post on my anniversary date, which is July 6th. And so that sobriety anniversary, July 6th, is like what I celebrate every year. So this year it'll be 11 years.
Congratulations to you. I mean,
Thank
seriously,
you.
you can overcome that. You can do absolutely anything. Anything. Wow. So then the the point that you decided bariatric surgery was the answer for you. Tell me about that.
I was so on the fence about bariatric surgery because there was so much stigma, especially around the people in my community as well as my friends and family, just planting the seed saying everyone who does it gains the weight back. Everyone who does it loses the weight and then gains the weight back. They all gain the weight back. And so going into it, that was my not idea. It wasn't my idea, but it was just what the information that was being fed to me. And so I automatically thought back into my addiction. When I went to rehab, it was nobody's first time in rehab. Everyone in rehab, it was their sixth time, their fifth time. And I was like, I do not want to go through this cycle over and over again. So when I went into the whole bariatric portion of my story and getting bariatric surgery, where it's like half of the people say, oh, that's the easy way out. And then the other half of the people say, everyone gains the weight back. I just chose for myself that I wasn't going to be a part of those statistics. I just chose for myself that I would do it the right way. I would, not saying that there's a wrong way or a right way to do it, but I went into it knowing and deciding that I was going to be successful.
Yeah, you did it the right way for you. Your
Right.
yeah, yeah.
And everyone's way is different, whether it
Absolutely.
be people decide to go on GLP-1 or people decide to have their Roux Y or their sleeve converted into a Roux Y, whatever your journey is, that's your decision. And you're successful in your own way because
Absolutely.
everyone's story is different.
For sure. Everybody's body is different, everybody's situation. Like you said, this environment that you were steeped in was it's not going to work. And we have the opportunity to change that story and live our own truth for sure.
Right.
Wow. So when did you actually have your bariatric surgery?
I had my bariatric surgery October of 2017. So it's been a hot minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so just almost a year after that I had mine, because I think I found you on Instagram while I was preparing and psyching myself up and all of that. Because I remember even, the posts after surgery, you were really good about posting, all of those little transformations that happen. So you had surgery, and did you have it in the States or did you go to Mexico?
I had it in the States. I had it here in upstate New York.
Right, right, right.
And I still see my bariatric doctor to this day. I mean, he's been such a great support, and even though I don't have to see him, I just go once a year just to check in, and he loves seeing me, and he's referred patients out to the plastic surgeon in Mexico that I went to for skin removal. So I feel like it's important to maintain a good relationship with your bariatric doctor in case, you need that support or help down the line.
For sure, for sure. And that was going to be my next question is if you were part of a support. I mean, most of the clinics, bariatric programs in the States that are accredited by the ASMBS, and they do, require some education before surgery. They require support groups available after surgery. And I'm just curious if you took advantage of any of that.
So it was required to go to the support groups as well as meet with the bariatric dietitian before and after my surgery, which I did do. I don't attend the support groups anymore. I don't meet with the bariatric dietitian anymore. I simply just see my bariatric surgeon annually to check in, to have an accountability appointment essentially. Though, since having the bariatric surgery, I myself have gone and gotten certifications through nutrition as well as exercise. So I don't feel it necessary to go to the support groups. Unless they have asked me to speak at the support groups
Yeah.
before, I'll go and make connections and be able to be supportive to the people who are new in the journey, which I really enjoy doing because I know that when I was in their position, I needed that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly. I do still go, not all the time, but I do still go periodically to some support groups. Number one, I'm always curious about other long-term post-ops and how they're doing. And it's also been really helpful for me to stay very connected to my why and the people that are just there because they're required to be there. Don't usually see them afterward. But I do think that, like you say, just staying connected with it is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it was something that in the beginning of my bariatric journey, what I looked for when I wanted people to follow or people to talk to or to have some kind of support were people that were 5+ years out that maintained their weight loss. And something that was so ingrained in me was everyone gains the weight back, everyone loses it and then gains the weight back. So something that was so important was to find people and find a community on Instagram, especially because that's where I find myself the most. People that are successful years and years down the line, not just in the beginning. Because
Right.
obviously everyone loses weight within the first year, but not everyone maintains that weight loss.
Right. So beautiful segue. Thank you very much. How have you done it? How have you maintained your weight loss?
I don't know. It's just like for me, I could not rely on the surgery alone because, yes, within the first year, I lost 80 pounds. And I do credit that to bariatric surgery, but I do not credit my entire weight loss to the bariatric surgery because I lost 190 pounds. And after I lost that first initial 80 pounds, I hit a plateau for a long time because what I relied on was just the fact that the surgery allowed me to eat less. But that's not always the case the further down the line you go, you know? I've talked to so many people where even 5 years post-op, they still can only eat this much. I am putting away an entire Chipotle bowl and I can eat just as much as I could before the surgery now. And that's the truth, you know, and that's not everyone's truth, but that's my truth as someone who is a bodybuilder, as someone who is so active. I can eat as much as I could before bariatric surgery. So once I hit that plateau after losing 80 pounds, it was up to me to then implement greater changes to continue my weight loss. And so at that point, I really started implementing tracking macronutrients and training with intensity and intention instead of just going to the gym, working out, going home, and trying to rely on my smaller stomach because of bariatric surgery to eat less when I started getting more hungry the more I worked out and the more that I trained. There's a difference between training and working out and training with intensity and intention. And so tracking macronutrients and learning about how to track your protein, your carbs, and your fat while being able to lose fat and not lose muscle, that was a whole other ball game and a whole nother turning point in my story where it went from bariatric weight loss to intentional weight loss and intentional fat loss as opposed to just being skinny. And that was really a pivotal moment for me and was that's where I was able to break that plateau and continue losing the weight and being my own success story at the end of the day.
Did you work out before bariatric surgery or before getting clean and sober?
So before getting clean and sober, I did not work out at all. Before the bariatric surgery, I started getting into fitness because I knew I had to make positive changes. And something that I heard over and over again in the support groups, as well as my bariatric dietitian, as well as my bariatric surgeon, is it's not just about the surgery. You also have to exercise and eat right. And so that whole exercise portion got implemented early on to me. And so I did work out before my surgery, but I didn't start working out with intention until I started learning about macronutrients. So I would go to the gym and I would kind of just be really lost, hopping from machine to machine and hoping, is this good enough? And it wasn't until I hired a coach that guided me. It wasn't until I went to school for personal training and nutrition where I learned. And so that was kind of a turning point for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so where is it taking you now? I mean, are you doing it competitively or just for you? Tell me what your path is with your fitness.
Right now, my fitness is I'm hoping to compete within the next year. I haven't decided if I want to be doing a transformation division or if I want to do just a normal bodybuilding show. That's something for both myself and my coach to discuss. But we have been working towards this for years now, you know, going through weight gaining phases, intentional weight gaining phases to put on muscle mass, and then going through cutting phases to lean out. And that's something also that has been so mentally challenging for me because as someone who's bariatric, you kind of get in the idea of the smallest version of myself is the best version of myself. And then for me to rewire that thinking, where it's like I'm going through building and bulking phases because I want to transform my body in a way that I'm happy with, where I can have curves, where I can have a butt, where I can have muscle mass. And then going from that to the cutting phases and the fat loss phases and up and down so that I can be able to bring the best package to a future competition is something that I've been leaning into. And it's something that is different in terms of my thinking and my mentality because obviously growing up, it's like the skinniest version of you is the best version of you. And for me right now, that's not the case. I want to be able to bring the best package on stage if I do end up competing next year within either a transformation division or just a normal bodybuilding show.
Yeah. And that mindset work is the toughest of all, right? That, getting our emotions in line, getting our mental focus around what are we doing and why are we doing it really? And now that we don't have this big, like, it's all about not being fat. Okay, so now that's not an issue. Now what? And then how do you create that and how do you live with it? And how do you wrap your head around intentional weight gain and having a body that you get to absolutely create? You're sculpting it your own self. It's not just about not having fat on it. It's about really sculpting. You are, this creator that is carving out exactly what you want. How have you been able to I guess either get support or get your head around a completely new mindset?
I feel like the mental is almost just as important as the physical because when you lose weight so drastically, 190 pounds lost, it's almost as if there's some kind of phantom limb happening where I still feel that I'm this big person and I'm not allowed to take up space in rooms, and I'm not allowed to take up space or be loud and be myself because I'm a large person. But then it's like I look in the mirror and realize, oh, I'm not. But sometimes I'll be laying in bed and I'll wake up and I'll be still thinking that I'm in my bigger self because that's what I grew up as and that's what I was for the first 25 years of my life. So to be in a different body now is something to really understand that not a lot of people mentally can explain it in a way that normal people can grasp because we at the end of the day are not normal. We've gone through these surgeries and skin removal and weight loss and weight gain and having to be so meticulous with diet and exercise. The average person doesn't have to deal with that on a daily basis. So in turn, that creates a sense of body dysmorphia within ourselves that we have to practice in our own psyche to have that confidence and be able to say, like, I'm allowed to take up just as much space as everyone else, and I'm allowed to be happy, and I'm allowed to be confident without being called cocky because I've worked for this.
Yeah. Yes. Your healing path is absolutely, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, starting with getting clean and sober, that is just an incredible hurdle to even start, much less than it's like, oh, bariatric surgery, that's another blip. And like you say, now you are really focused on being the best version of you physically, which takes the best version of you mentally, right? Amazing. I just love this story. I had no idea. I mean, I knew I loved you, but I had no idea the
Thank
depths.
you so much. I appreciate it. I feel like if I'm not presenting my best face forward and being the best version of myself, I can't expect my clients to do the same. And I think that that's a difference between me and a lot of other people that my clients have worked with is I understand exactly where they are because starting from zero and starting from such a large place and just starting where I feel like there's no hope, I can really relate and identify with them as opposed to just someone who started out already in shape and just want to help other people get in shape. No, I started at ground, like I started from nothing and I started from not knowing anything and being so morbidly obese and scared of the fitness world and scared to step foot in a gym because I thought that I would be judged and ridiculed. And so being able to identify and relate to my clients in that way is something so, so special.
Yeah, it's so important to find resources and support with other people that have really get it. And I mean, even like people that are looking for therapy for help with emotional eating or body dysmorphia, any of those, imposter syndrome, those very common things that we experience, and trying to find, a good therapist. And there's a lot of therapists out there, but not a lot that have direct experience with bariatric life. And it's a whole
Right.
different game. And even dietitians. I've had dietitians tell me it's the same thing. Nutrition is nutrition, and it kind of isn't. Bariatric patients have different needs, different abilities, different all of that. So I do think that it's really important to find somebody who's walked the walk, and you certainly have.
Everyone has different needs, but that's the problem with like a lot of coaches, dietitians, trainers. The problem now, it's so easy to just copy paste from client to client, each program, each meal plan, instead of looking at the individual person and realizing not just bariatric, they need something different, but people with autoimmune diseases, people with health issues, people with digestive issues, they require individual needs that isn't going to be safe for a copy paste method.
So true. So true. Do you, in your coaching, do you work with people just like in real life at the gym? Do you do virtual coaching at all?
I've been asked multiple times if I do coaching virtually, and I do nutrition coaching virtually. But when it comes to personal training and exercise science, I only do that in person at the gym here in Syracuse, New York, that I work out of. And if I if I wanted to, I really could do virtual training, but I'm such an educational trainer, and the way that I train is I teach and I educate. And so to make sure that everyone is doing the correct form and making sure that they're not doing anything that will get them injured, it's very different from in person to being able to have people send me videos or even
Yeah.
FaceTime. It's not the same. And for my own brand, I would like my clients to be as safe as possible and being able to execute everything perfectly with diet and with training. And so the only virtual training I offer right now is nutrition and dietetics.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, note to self, move to Syracuse. I want to go back to all of the naysayers around you when you were getting started with bariatric preparation and considering bariatric surgery. How are they now?
Well, I won't say it's the naysayers, but it's like the people that would make fun of me in high school are now the people saying I look amazing. And then the people that said this is not going to work are now the people saying you're too cocky.
Yeah,
Everyone
there's no winning, right? Yeah.
opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
It's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah. And feel like the world needs to hear their very strong opinions. It's so true.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same when people are like, why do you always post your ass? And it's like, because I built this. I didn't pay for that back there.
And it's gorgeous. So, that's they don't have to look if they don't want. So, just in general though about relationships, how has it impacted, or has your journey changed any of your relationships, and if so, how?
Romantic relationships?
I mean,
Or
all relationships. I mean, sometimes people's friends can't handle it, or sometimes I think I heard a statistic, I don't know if I agree with it or not, but like divorce rate among bariatric patients is like 50% higher just because spouses have a hard time coping with, the change.
I've
So
heard that
whether it's
statistic.
romantic, have you? Yeah, again, it's just a statistic, but I am curious because a lot of the people that I've talked to, relationships changed, whether it's friends or at work. One of the other interviews that I had talked about how people at work, like suddenly she's just trusted and her opinion now matters now that I mean, it's so crazy, but I'm just wondering if you've noticed any of that.
That's the same type of statistic where people that are thin get job offers and get jobs more often than a bigger individual. But that's the same when it comes to people who are prejudiced, people who are racist, people who are homophobic. If you're different or if you are not in the bubble of what is considered normal, then the world is against you for some reason. When it comes to relationships, I mean, it's different. I never had romantic relationships when I was larger. And so now that I'm not, it kind of is this game in my head that I play. It's like, oh, would they still have liked me if I was in my larger body? Would they give me the time of day if I wasn't in the body that I'm in now? And so that is challenging. But then there's also the other side of the token where my family knows that I am a coach and that I coach other people. And so whenever I give my 2 cents on their diet and their exercise, they don't think I know much of anything because I was big once before. Yeah. And now I'm not. And so, people will think, oh, she's a know-it-all, or people will think, oh, she's just lucky. This isn't luck. Even though I went through the skin removal surgery process, I worked for the body that I have today, and it's constantly a work in progress. I'm still working on it, and I'm still weighing and tracking everything that I put into my mouth. And people will think that that's crazy and that I don't have much balance. But the thing is what intuitive eating looks like to me is a loss of control, because I was never able to eat intuitively. I was never able to have that balance where I can just eat like a normal person. And so more power to the people that can eat intuitively and have that balance. But for me, what that looks like is a loss of control. And so, am I rigid? Am I really strict with my regimen and my eating and my exercise? Yes. Am I more strict than the average person? Probably. But for me, that is a sense of control where I know that I'm not going to go off the rail. And I know if I'm not reaching my goals in terms of my weight or how I'm looking, I can look at the data, exactly what I'm doing, and change it. And that's just me being neurotic, I guess.
No, I mean, I think it's also the season of your life, right?
Right.
This is where you are in your life, and you can be here as long as you find it rewarding and meeting all of your needs. And when it doesn't and you want something different, you can change it. I mean, look at how you have reinvented yourself more than once. So I think any of it's possible, and everybody is at a different point. And yeah, there's always going to be people that have nothing but bad things to say. There's always just going to be that group out there. But I want to now focus on the people that are your cheerleaders. So do you have, support systems? Obviously, your bariatric surgeon is a big champion. So tell me about the support that you have in your life now.
I have a couple people. I don't have a large circle, but I prefer it that way. And even though I have a lot of friendly faces on Instagram that I've been able to connect with, they only see part of my life. They only see what I let them see.
Mhm.
But I do have a support both in the gym as well as personal relationships where I feel like regardless of if I'm bulking and purposefully gaining weight or cutting and dieting where I'm losing weight, there's support because they know that there's an end goal in sight. But outside of just bariatrics, I had a period of time where I felt like that was all I was supposed to be posting and all that people wanted to see, which may be true because it's like obviously people have followed me for plastics or for bariatrics. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of other goals and ambitions and passions outside of just weight loss. And I can't just identify my entire life and my brand around the fact that I was fat and now I'm not. And so I have relationships with people in my life now that understand that I'm more than just that, and I have passions and interests outside of that. And so those are the people that I cherish because they care more about me as opposed to what I've accomplished.
Yeah. So true. And I love that you have those people in your life to help, support all of you. That's fantastic. I also wanted to go back to, you mentioned that you had plastics done in Mexico,
Mhm.
and curious about why you chose to go there for plastics.
So my plastics journey started with me posting a Facebook fundraiser with pictures of my skin and nobody really knowing that side of my weight loss because I was posting so many happy moments of me losing the weight and I had so much support on Facebook regarding that. And this was before I even made an Instagram. And so I posted a Facebook fundraiser helping to raise money for plastics, and I was getting consultations here in New York, and the price was just outrageous. But that wasn't just it. It was also the fact that surgeons here specialized in the very basic plastic surgeries like boob jobs, nose jobs, tummy tucks, mommy makeovers. But I needed a surgeon and I needed procedures that were reconstructive surgeries after extreme weight loss. That's a whole other ball game as opposed to just a regular plastic surgeon that does boob jobs and tummy tucks, you know? And
Right.
so I found a surgeon in Mexico that specifically specialized in major weight loss reconstructive surgery, skin
Yeah.
removal, excess skin removal surgery, and I felt like that was more in a line with what I needed, as well as the price difference. Let's not play any games. Like the price difference, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
astronomical. But now he's a part of my support group, and I am very close friends with my plastic surgeon. I went there on two separate occasions to get two different skin removal procedures done through him. And if I ever need more work done, I would 100% go back to him again.
Yeah. 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 I feel the same way about my bariatric surgeon as well as my plastic surgeon. I mean, if I could have all of my healthcare done in Mexico, I would. I just have had amazing experiences there.
Who did you go to in Mexico?
For bariatric surgery, I went to Dr. Illan. He is at Hospital BC now.
Okay.
And for plastics, I went to Dr. Carmina Cardenas,
Okay.
and she has her own like recovery center that she uses, and has her own chef because she wants people to have good nutrition, and she's got a whole staff of people that support a very holistic approach to healing. And she's had bariatric surgery herself. So that is really her focus, is on surgery plastics after massive weight loss.
There is such a stigma behind going outside of America to do anything. I feel like, but this is like coming from, like, I come from a Ukrainian Israeli household. So it's, my parents immigrated here from the previous Soviet Union. So they understand that there is a life outside of America. But I feel like a lot of people who live here think that America is the end all be all, where it is the best and you can't go outside of the country. And a lot of people have this notion that anywhere outside of the US is somehow a third world country that is extremely dangerous
I
in
know.
any regard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's just not the case. I mean,
Right. So
I am
true.
very pro medical tourism. My mom goes to Ukraine to get her teeth fixed. I'll go to Mexico to get my skin chopped off. We go to
Yeah.
Israel to get work done. It's just,
Yeah.
I am very pro weighing your options out and looking for the best possible scenario with the best possible doctor for what specifically you need for your body. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's not in America.
Yeah. Well, I think that and I mean, I have 35 years of working in the American healthcare system, hospitals and medical clinics. And so it's broken. It is so broken. I don't think that anybody really disagrees with that on so many
Yeah.
levels. And I think that Americans are a very litigious society. And so physicians are just so burdened with malpractice fear and documentation and administrative everything. They can't just take care of patients. And there's
It's
also,
almost become like dehumanized where they're not even
absolutely,
people anymore. They're just a
absolutely.
chart.
Yeah. And they aren't allowed to see patients as humans because they only have 3 minutes to spend with them. And so there's just a lot of challenges that they face. I think that there's really good doctors and really not so very good doctors everywhere in the world also.
Right.
So, like you say, I'm pro getting yourself educated and finding the best solution for each
Yeah.
person for what you need. So I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I got a lot of backlash when I decided I wanted to go to Mexico, specifically because so many people donated money for my plastic surgery. And at the time, I had nothing. And so to get backlash about making the decision to go to Mexico, I felt like, okay, this is bad because, a lot of people donated towards this surgery. Though when the time came where I was healed and when I was home, they saw that, this surgeon knew what he was doing. And I was extremely happy with the decision I made. And that being said, during the early parts of my journey after the skin removal, because it's been a while since I've had skin removal now, I did travel companionship for girls that were getting plastic surgery. And so anyone that was traveling anywhere to get plastic surgery, I would go with them and help take care
Yep.
of them and help them through the whole process. And I went to different locations, both in America and outside of America, with these girls. And let me tell you, the care that you receive in America after plastic surgery is not the same. And I'm not going to say that it's every place that does this, but from where I've been, both in Miami and New York and Florida, you get the surgery and then they kick you to the curb the same day to
Bye.
go to the hotel. Oh, and that's scary because for me, I had my plastic surgery done. They held me in the hospital for a couple days to make sure that I was okay before sending me to the recovery hotel where I had nurses helping me at the recovery hotel and I wasn't ever on my own. It's such a large procedure and I had so much work done. I couldn't imagine just being left on my own until the follow-up appointment the next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, what surgeon in the US is going to go to the hotel to check in on you afterward? I
No.
mean, it's crazy. I Where did you go for bariatric surgery and plastics?
So for bariatric surgery, I went to Krause Hospital in Syracuse, New York, and my surgeon is Dr. Kenneth Cooper. And then for plastics, I went to Tijuana, Mexico, out of CER Hospital, but I'm pretty sure that my plastic surgeon now works out of a different hospital. His name is Dr. Alejandro Galvez, Alex
Yes.
Galvez.
Yes.
Alex Galvez now works through a different hospital, but I'm not sure which one, though the company that he created is BC Plastics.
Yeah. 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 And he is the one I've been following him for quite a while too. He used to, his mom, I think, would make
Yeah, Mama Galvez made
Mama
the
Galvin
food.
made the food. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
She would deliver the food to the patients at the recovery hotel twice a day, lunches and dinners.
Yeah. I love
Loved it.
that. I know.
I know, and his sister-in-law or his sister is the one that does like a lot of the logistics, and then his brother-in-law or his brother Andy Galvez is the scheduling person. So it's like a whole family
Yes.
business,
I
and
love
they're
that.
all so sweet and so nice, and like I genuinely, me and him, I love him. He's amazing.
Yeah. Uh yeah, very important to have a good relationship. And I'm curious, so if you had advice for people that are considering bariatric surgery, what advice would you give for bariatric surgery first?
For bariatric surgery, if I were to tell someone who's going into it and wants to get it done, would advise them that it is not the easy way out. It is not going to fix you and help you lose the weight and keep it off permanently. I would say that bariatric surgery is this type of surgery that is a tool that will help you jumpstart that initial weight loss. But then after that, it is on you and up to you to create the life for yourself to maintain and continue to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And what about if they're considering or trying to decide if plastics is a good option?
If you can afford plastic surgery and you have lost the weight and have been able to maintain that loss for a minimum of 6 months to a year. I know that a lot of people want to jump into plastics as soon as they lose the weight, but I always tell people maintain that weight loss for a minimum of 6 months to a year before considering plastics so that you know going into it that you can maintain the weight that you lost so that you could be able to get the best results. And I think that the best results with plastics is reaching the leanest level that you want to get to so that you have as much skin as possible to remove. And then going into plastics, the post surgical swelling lasts up to a year. The body dysmorphia and phantom limb of the skin is something that you have to be mentally prepared for going into it because it's going to be a process, especially if you're so used to exercising, which a lot of people in the bariatric community, they get into exercising and not being able to exercise, not being able to do anything for, 2 to 3 months before
Yeah.
getting back into the gym and just preparing yourself psychologically to all of these factors going into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So true. And I know a lot of people, I mean, I know a lot of plastic surgeons in the States anyway, won't even consider doing surgery after weight loss until you've maintained for like 2 years. And I'm not sure what the thinking is behind that, but I agree that you want to be able to maintain that a little bit. And also for your body to recover after that surgery before undergoing the massive onslaught that plastic surgery is. I mean, there's a lot of blood loss. It's a whole different procedure. Bariatric surgery now is mostly laparoscopic. You come out with teeny little, whatever. And
Right.
yes, your stomach is gone, but I mean, you really need to be able to heal internally as well after that before having plastics done. But I keep hearing that people uh, that have a lot of excess skin, it's really hard to stay motivated when you are fighting that and you're still looking in the mirror and seeing that. And that after plastics, it's just so liberating to see a reflection in the mirror of the hard work that you've done and maintained.
Yeah, it is. It's like, but I definitely do not want to discredit the people that haven't had plastics yet
Oh,
because I
absolutely.
understand that I'm in a position of privilege where I was able to not only get one round of plastics, but two separate rounds of plastics and skin removal. So I am in a place of privilege and I want to recognize that because not everyone is fiscally able to get plastics or leave the country or do what I did and have that freedom to choose. When people message me about plastics, I want to remind them the same thing that I reminded myself going into it and feeling that defeated, unmotivated version of myself because the skin was just kind of taking away from being able to see the progress and the changes that I've made within my body. But at the same time, when I look back on it now, the skin was a trophy in a way. The skin was my award where this is a reminder of how hard I worked. But on the other side of the token, the skin was a reminder of how unhealthy I used to be. And so that's the reason why I wanted to get it removed. And I was so adamant about getting it gone because it was a constant reminder of how unhealthy and the type of person I used to be that I am not anymore. That's a whole version of myself that I've overcome, you know?
Oh, I really appreciate you saying that it really is a privilege to be able to have that surgery. And I again, I mean, it's my hope to be able to support our community, and someday my fantasy is to, be able to support people with scholarships or whatever to be able to help, that progress, respond to the GoFundMe's and respond to those that are trying to improve their health, mental health, emotional health, and physical health.
Right.
And I think, I mean, until then, it's this sharing our stories that I think is so important. And I really appreciate you sharing share, it just warms my heart to know that you are out there, coaching and training and sharing your experience, on social media as well as in real life speaking and whatnot. And I just certainly want to say thank you. Thank you for being
I
here.
seriously appreciate you asking me to do this because anyone that may be watching that's in the bariatric community or wanting skin removal, I feel like sometimes it's a bit clicky, but just know that the people that have been through it and have been here for years and have maintained their weight loss and really strive to try to build connections. I don't want these people to feel like they're alone or to feel like these people that are successful in their stories are unreachable and it's like almost like dehumanized in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing that I've come across are the people who have struggled with regain and are really feeling so defeated and like they are a failure and nothing is going to work and they'll never overcome this. And every day is an opportunity to stand up again. And that's really what, Wild Rebel Wellness is about, because I have always felt like being healthy, trying to be well, making these choices that are against, everybody's wisdom that it's never going to work, it's always going to fail. Or I mean, just going to the grocery store and giving my finger to the middle aisle of processed food and going straight to the produce or back to the butcher shop. I mean, all of that, I feel like being well is an act of rebellion right now. And
Right.
so being healthy, I'm fine being a rebel and choosing health. And so I think to all of the folks that are struggling with regain, they're steeped in a culture that promotes it.
And
There's
at the end of the day, you've lost it before, you can lose it again. You've
absolutely.
lost the weight before, you can do it again. You know what to do. And if you feel like you don't know what to do, there are so many resources available and people that want to see you succeed. Like
Yes.
I can't even tell you the amount of joy, like as much joy as it brought me to change my life. I have clients that have had incredible transformations, and that is so much more rewarding because it's almost like the work that I did on myself. I now share that knowledge with others to see them succeed. It is more rewarding than anything I could have done for my own self. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
To witness it in others is a gift for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, again, I think you just sharing your story, all of us sharing our voices and supporting the community is tremendous. So again, thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can you believe it? From addiction to bodybuilder, and still a humble, graceful woman who struggles with body dysmorphia just like the rest of us, but also a woman who knows how to get out of her own way and create exactly what she wants in her life. I especially love that now she's coaching and training others to transform their lives in the way that she has. Thank you to Michelle and her beautiful soul for joining the Wild Rebel Wellness community and for sharing her story to help support all of us on our path to wellness. If you're considering bariatric surgery or are navigating life afterward and feel like you could use some support, I would love to help you. I had bariatric surgery over 7 years ago and am also a national board certified health and wellness coach. I've also got over 30 years of experience working in hospitals and medical clinics in the US, so I get it. If you'd like a discovery call with me, all you need to do is tell me a little bit more about yourself and your journey at the link in the podcast description below. And I've also got some other resources there for you, so be sure to check it out. Remember, being well in this era and in this culture, it's an act of rebellion. So go be a rebel, and be well. Until next time.